Hello and welcome to episode 119 of Drink the Movies. I am Brian here as always with Michaela. And Michaela, in terms of the movies, this is a pretty important week.
This is the Super Bowl of all movies week for the year, at least for anybody who
Mm-hmm.
pays any attention to the Academy of Motion Picture Sciences.
That's right. Yeah, it is Oscar week 2023. We are here with you. This is our third Oscars together on Drink the Movies. Michaela, we did one kind of, like right off the bat. We had just kind of gotten our feet wet into podcasting, and then last year we went through and did a whole big blowout for the Oscars. And this year, nothing less but the best from us. We've got our Oscar Pick'em contest going. That's pretty exciting. We made our way through all 55 or 54 of the films this year, in all the categories. We did our best to see these. We got to see a lot of these in the movie theater this year, Michaela. That definitely hasn't been the case, since we started Drink the Movies. Maybe one or two at most, but I feel like we tackled a lot of these in the theater this year.
We sure did. And it also helped that the shorts, the animated shorts, the live action shorts. I even think the documentary shorts are out there somewhere, but certain theaters were hosting that. So that was really neat because I feel like the shorts categories, they get the short haha end of the stick because a lot of people don't watch them. They don't make it to big screens very often.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of exciting that we were able to see quite a few of those on the big screens as well. I think I don't want to say that things are completely back to the way they were pre-COVID from a movie perspective, but it's feeling like we're getting very close. We're getting 80% there. And in the last year, we've discovered our independent picture house in Charlotte. Any of you local to Charlotte, please go support local theater. The independent picture house is really cool. They've got really small, intimate screen settings, which is really great. And they make it a point to highlight some films that may have gotten Oscar nominations and Oscar accolades, but aren't hugely, cinematic triumphs in the box office. So really, really cool there. Really glad we were able to do all of those things again, like normal people, like in the
That's right.
before times.
It felt very much like we were back to normal in some instances there, and got the chance to see almost all of these. And we're gonna kind of run through and make our picks, just like we do every year. We're going to do them live here. We're going to be committed to these. Couple of caveats there, but we got the Oscars coming March 12th. So this coming Sunday, if you're listening to this live, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Jimmy Kimmel is going to be back doing the hosting duties. Hosted in 2017, 2018, and then back again for this year. So Michaela, the plan is, anyway, I'm going to be coming over to your house. We do our annual little Oscar party. We're going to have some red carpet down. Hopefully, if you and your husband can get that down in time, I'm going to come over. You're going to welcome me with a welcome cocktail. We're going to mix one of those up. We'll probably do a little bit of a Patreon hangout, kind of short to mix up that drink and chat about some stuff on the red carpet. And then, get into watching the show, and we'll see how everyone's picks come along. But Michaela, before we get into all that, what we need to do is we need to go and mix up a cocktail, because we're going to need a little bit of liquid courage to go out on the limbs that we're going to have to go out on to make these picks for Oscars 2023. So why don't we take a quick break, and we'll be right back to whip up our dueling cocktails.
This week, we both decided to bring our A game to
B
from a
plus for
cocktail
me.
perspective.
B plus.
B plus. Oh, okay. Well, I brought my A game. I brought my Sunday brunch A game.
Ooh,
So
all right.
we the goal was to have something that was very worthy of an Oscar cocktail. I think yours is probably I don't know why you would say B game, because I think yours is probably going to be amazing. Mine is someone had it and thought it was amazing, but they also thought that it was just kind of a trumped up mimosa, and perhaps that's true. I found mine on the Simply Recipes website, and what you're going to need are three things, which is great when you're drinking a lot of them on Oscar Sunday, trying to pick out the best films of the year. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice and then 1/2 ounce of mango juice or nectar. Mango is key here because it's going to create the mouthfeel that makes this thing absolutely delectable. We did a mango cocktail a couple of weeks ago, and it had some mango nectar in it for Pinocchio, and it was splendid. It was absolutely one of the best cocktails we have done in probably the history of Drink the Movies, definitely 2023. So so this was my inspiration as I was looking for stuff. So you're going to take both of those, your pineapple and mango juice, you're going to put that in a champagne glass, and then you're going to add as much brut cava as you would like. You could do prosecco if you don't want to do cava, if you want something a little sweeter. If you want it to be super sweet, I guess you could do like an Asti Spumante, but then you're basically just injecting sugar straight into your veins. But either way, something sparkling, something bubbly. If you want to be extra fancy, you can rim your champagne flute with like gold shimmer or a color that you like. And this is a really beautiful cocktail. It is kind of like a fancy mimosa, but the key here that's going to be different than like a regular orange juice is that mouthfeel because of the nectar, and it's absolutely splendid and very sumptuous. Just I could drink this and drink it and drink it and drink it, and yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that sounds very velvety and delicious. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying that come red carpet time here this week when we finally get together to discuss our Oscar nominations in person as the show gets to kick off. So I'm going, kind of down that same route, sort of this sparkling wine kind of cocktail. And mine is called the Moet Golden Glamour. This was the official cocktail of the 2010 Oscars, and I saw it and I said, that looks delicious. It looks pretty simple to put together because you don't want a bunch of complicated things. Oscar night, you're doing a party or something, you want to keep it, you want it to have some class, some luxury, but you want it to be simple. You don't want to spend all your time mixing up these complicated cocktails. You need to see what everyone's wearing, all the speeches, all this stuff. So this is going to be pretty simple to do. So what you're going to do, I like to put mine into a shaker to chill it off just a little bit. You don't have to. You could go straight into the glass with this if you want, but I like a coupe glass for my champagne cocktails. This is what we're doing. You're going to use a 1/4 ounce of vanilla liqueur. Galliano is probably the best one, but you could also use like a liqueur 43 or a Tuaca, basically just any kind of vanilla liqueur, and 1.5 ounces of passion fruit juice. You're going to get that at the same place probably where you got the mango juice for Michaela's cocktail, right up in the front section of your grocery store. They probably have some fresh pressed passion fruit juice, so pick that up. You're going to put that into your glass, like I said, and then top that with 4 ounces of sparkling wine. Obviously, this one was made with Moet Chandon, for the Oscars. You don't have to go that route if you don't want, but I do think that this cocktail, normally I'm pretty loose with, kind of the sparkling wine that I use, but I think a nice quality, champagne may be optimal, but, you could do like a Cremant, or even like an American sparkling wine if it's a Chardonnay base, but you want really to get that kind of like bready, like yeasty character that you get from a really nice French champagne, because that's what's going to cut through this vanilla and just bring this balance together. And then you can garnish that with a mint leaf, sip, and enjoy with your tuxedo on or whatever you decide to wear on Oscar nights. Spoiler, I'm not going to be wearing a tuxedo, but I am going to look pretty classy holding one of these, I think, Michaela.
You're not going to wear the tuxedo shirt? It's like a serious,
maybe, yeah.
I mean, that might be a good look. And I'll wear aluminum foil or something and wrap myself in it. It'll be okay. That'll be great. It'll be a very strange. I think this drink is going to be amazing, and I can't wait. I can't wait to try it. It's very fancy. I think that vanilla liqueur is going to be really umptious. It's going to be a lot of umptious going on.
Yeah, and it's serving double duty a little selfishly because we've used Galliano in a cocktail before. We've also used liquor 43 in a cocktail before, or that cocktail was no good. So we're not gonna talk about that. But you have this bottle of vanilla liqueur. What are you going to do with it? You're going to make it super fancy. So try yourself a Moet Golden Glamour. Try yourself. What was yours called again, Michaela?
Oh, I think they called it a mango mimosa cocktail.
Michaela's mango mimosa cocktail. So try one of those. Let us know what you're having for your own red carpet get-togethers, because we want to know that. And make sure you get your cocktails submitted. Make sure you get your picks submitted, because that's what we're going to be doing right now. So Michaela, why don't we do this? Let's go whip up another one of these cocktails. We will hold our breath, we will cross our fingers, and we will make our picks as best as we can to get started on our 2023 Oscar celebration. So we'll be right back and get those picks in.
Okay. All right. So I have your cocktail in my hand, and excellent. I got to say, yours might win. From a cocktail perspective, I don't know. This is pretty great. Okay. So everybody, all of our listeners are waiting with bated breath as to how we're going to do this now. So for the listeners at home, all the people at home, we are on our own individual websites, logging in and locking in our answers. So there's no going back.
Drinkthemovies.com. Just
drinkthemovies.com.
Go there. There's a link. You just got to scroll down just, I don't know, just like an inch, and then you can see the link there. And it's going to take you to our type form page that has the Oscar Pick'em contest there. And that's what we're using. We're going to go through and make our picks.
That's right. And look, you don't have anything to lose, even if you haven't seen any of these films. I mean, we make a big deal about seeing all of them, but even if you haven't, if you win, you get lots of really cool swag. And so you should definitely go ahead and do this. Now, if you want a little inside scoop as to who might win or should win, even if you've not seen all the Best Picture, you could always join our Patreon. It's not very expensive. It's like $2 a month to get just in the door, and you get to hear all of our takes on what we do, what we liked about the Oscar nominated Best Pictures. We talk a little bit about just enough about the plot. We don't give away any spoilers, nothing like that. It's totally worth your time. You got nothing to lose, and you could get some really cool swag. So do that.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So, we're not going to be talking about these movies in depth. So just kind of a loose spoiler warning on these. We're not really going to be getting into the plots of most of these. By and large, there are a couple of these that we actually covered on full episodes. Top Gun comes to mind, Elvis, so a couple of these actually got the full Drink the Movies treatment, but we're not going to go too deep in these because there's a lot of them. Michaela, 54 nominees this year, spread out over 23 categories, 54 movies. That is a lot to watch, but for science, you have to do it. It's kind of like running a marathon, right? It's not something that the human body is meant to do, but you want to do it. It's like climbing a mountain. You feel so satisfied at the end of it. Maybe you're like, well, was that worth it to do? And I don't know. I think the answer is yes, by and large, right?
Yeah. I mean, we keep doing it, so we must obviously feel like it's the right thing for us to do, for both science and art, darling, and lots of art.
Lots of art.
Let's kick this off. Let's get started.
That's right, because it is like art, right? And you do feel a nice a good feeling about having done this, having watched movies, and especially 54 movies. At least half of them are movies that you probably never would have watched or never would have had any interest in or never sought out or anything like that. So, Michaela, I mentioned kind of at the top, this is our third year of doing the Oscars. So just kind of generally, I guess, what were your thoughts about the movies from 2022 this year? Now that you've had a chance to see, all of them, there's a couple we still haven't caught up on yet, just before we're getting this recorded and out into the world. But, what were your thoughts about the state of the cinema in 2022?
So on the offset, the first thing that came to mind is there are a lot of people that think 3-hour films are amazing, because there were quite a few of those this year. And newsflash, they're not necessarily amazing just because they're long. Okay, there needs to be more than that. Now, that being said, we talked a little bit about this earlier. A lot of kind of eat the rich. There's a lot of this was the year, I think, that really shined a light on the haves versus have-nots in a very different way. And also a very, to me, like a less is more, very subtle. Like the subtle movies are really winning out. So we're going to talk a bit about The Banshees of Inisherin. That is a film that is not an action. I wouldn't even. People are saying it's kind of got a dark comedy tint to it. It's introspective, but it's beautiful. It's all these things, but I don't think it made any kind of splash at the box office. Versus, everybody talks about Top Gun Maverick, Way of Water, those did very well as well. But I'm thinking that the reason and the fact that some of these more quieter films are getting all the accolades is really kind of, again, raising the bar as to what constitutes a nominated film for best writing or best picture or whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting this year. What about you?
Yeah, it seemed kind of that way. I mean, obviously, we've got some blockbusters in the mix here, Top Gun, Avatar, Elvis, to a certain extent. And I think that, kind of the general movie going, considerations here were pretty positive on that. You can look up. There's a clip of Steven Spielberg talking to Tom Cruise at the Golden Globes, basically saying how he basically saved the entire industry with Top Gun Maverick because movies were looking a lot different going forward. So that's kind of a neat and interesting sentiment. Kind of however you feel about that movie, about the blockbuster in general. So you got stuff like that. Eat the Rich was, like you'd said, a kind of recurring theme. But one of the things I noticed, it felt like last year's films, 2021, was really kind of really playing off of like anxiety coming off of 2020, right? The pandemic and, people being indoors and, kind of the industry of filmmaking and how that was going to look. It seemed like last year's films very much were kind of these intimate looks at anxiety, whereas this year's films seem to be a little bit more of a look at what does moving past anxiety or, dealing with anxiety a little bit more. That was kind of a theme that I found through a lot of these movies this year. So it's just kind of interesting to just take a look, after having binged, 30 so odd movies, over the last 6 weeks, kind of what the recurring themes and feelings are there. And that's kind of what I came up with. But I don't know. Let us know at home if you thought, there were any kind of strings running through, these films that were nominated and stuff, because, we love to hear that and love what people see and kind of dissect and be able to think about these films, kind of in that way on a deeper level and, what people were getting out of them, because obviously your own life experiences are going to come in to play with that. But Michaela, we are not here for doing some deep philosophical analytics on these movies. We're here to just blindly make our picks to see who wins. So far, you and I have spent 3 Oscars together. I've come out on top twice. You've come out on top once. So this year, maybe you could even the score. So what do you say? Let's get this started. Thanks for participating in Drink the Movies 2023 Oscar Pick'em. Let's start.
All right. So the first category is Best Writing Original Screenplay. The nominees are Banshees of Inisherin by Martin McDonagh, Everything Everywhere All at Once, written by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, The Fabelmans, written by Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner, Tar, written by Todd Field, and Triangle of Sadness, written by Ruben Östlund.
Okay, so we've got these 5 films. All 5 of these are nominated for Best Picture, which is something that happens pretty often on the original screenplay category as well. A lot of these were written and directed by the same people, the Daniels, Steven Spielberg, Todd Field, Ruben Östlund, and Martin McDonagh. All of these people wrote and directed these films, so that's pretty impressive. So spoiler warning, we're probably going to see some of these names again come Best Director time. But I don't know, Michaela, original screenplay, one of the things all of these had in common, and obviously with writing in general, all of the dialogue was really tight. They were all very kind of dialogue driven. Everything Everywhere All at Once maybe had a little bit more of an actiony spin on things, but I don't know, what stands out to you here in original screenplay?
This is one of my favorite categories, because you really have to come up with an original idea. So this is not a spin-off of anything else, and it's got to have this writing that stays with you, is what I think of when I think of a really tight screenplay. So when I think of like The Fabelmans, I think of the scene where the uncle comes to visit and he's talking about and he has this really beautiful monologue. That's really special. With Banshees of Inisherin, believe it or not, the kind of, I know I rag on it a lot, but the dialogue between the friends that are not friends, and just and Tar, we talk about Tar a lot because the monologues that Lydia Tar actually gives are stunning and just really special. So there's a lot, I think, that goes into all of these. It's so hard because these categories are all so deserving. Triangle of Sadness, I had no idea what it was about, and it was a very strange look at the haves versus the have-nots in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, that's my thinking is the reason why these were all nominated. It's really no surprise. The hardest part is picking the one.
That's right. That is the hardest part. So, everyone listening at home, here is the first pick. Michaela, Best Writing Original Screenplay.
I'm going to go with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay, and I'm going with Banshees of Inisherin for original screenplay. All right, coming up on our second one, the flip side of that, the adapted screenplay. So we've got some good ones here. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. So, yeah, some adapted screenplays. One of the things I had to look up, Glass Onion is an original story, of course. Top Gun Maverick is an original story, but because they carry over characters from a previous film, that's how they slipped into this adapted screenplay. That was the qualifier there for that. So, Michaela, very different here, right? We've got action opus of Top Gun Maverick, same kind of with All Quiet on the Western Front, based off of that classic of classic novels. You have this witty, sort of pointed murder mystery from Ryan Johnson, who has been nominated in this category several times now. I don't know. What are your thoughts here about the adapted screenplay?
This is really hard because you go from things that are known to things that perhaps were unknown. So I didn't realize that Living was from another source. That screenplay is amazing. The story is really compelling as we all get older.
I didn't realize that until we'd seen it either, that it was based off of a Kurosawa film. So
yeah, absolutely. And it sort of fits. It makes sense watching it now, thinking back on it. But like you have a classic book like All Quiet on the Western Front next to Top Gun Maverick. It's so hard to judge. And what you want to do is judge the film as a whole. And what you have to do is really judge the screenplay in and of itself, because that's what this award says. So yeah, you're gonna go first on this one. I'm gonna see what you say.
I am going to go first. All Quiet on the Western Front seems like the logical one. It is nominated for a truckload of awards. Adapted from, like I said, that most classic of war novels there. But I'm going to pick Women Talking by Sarah Polley. A little unfair. You actually haven't had a chance to see that yet. It's not out to stream until tomorrow as of recording. So you're going to get a chance to, caveat. Michaela can change her pick if she so decides after seeing Women Talking, kind of on any of these that they're nominated for. But I'm going with Women Talking. It is a really dialogue centric story, literally about these women talking. So beautiful stuff. That is my pick there for that category.
Well, so I think I will take that reservation, and I will maybe change this later. But at this point, I think I'm going to go with the safe choice, which was All Quiet on the Western Front. I feel like it is kind of a safe choice, but at the same time, that the script is so absolutely splendid. And it's worth saying this is a foreign language film, so it had to meet all the needs of my American ears, as well as the language it was written in, which was German. And I think that it does so absolutely beautifully. So that's what I'm going to pick for now. But we'll see we'll see after tomorrow when it comes out, and I can watch it. So for our third, we have Best Visual Effects. This one we should probably spend less time talking about. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front. We've got Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, so we'll talk about the Batman and Black Panther here. We kind of hit on these other ones, real briefly there. But the Batman, visually it was very nice looking. I thought the cinematography of it was great. I actually don't, we saw this at the theater when it came out. I don't remember anything visual effect wise standing out quite as much. I mean, there was some great stuff in the way that it looked, and the costuming and makeup and stuff like that. But visual effects, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on why that one was there. No shade to the Batman, but Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, it's great. There's always going one of these Marvel or Star Wars films on here, just from the amount of stuff visually that's happening on screen, CGI stuff, practical stuff. This is going underwater, in Wakanda, into the city. It's kind of all over the place. It was really great looking, but there's only one winner, Michaela. When we get to the end, we're going to take our lock, and we're both probably going to have the same one, and it has to be Avatar: The Way of Water. Yeah. It has to be, right?
It has to be. I mean, Top Gun Maverick had some really amazing visual effects, and it definitely brought that love of the original Maverick or the original Top Gun back to the forefront. It is stunning, and it's really beautifully done. But let's just be clear, okay? It took 7 years to make Avatar: The Way of Water, because they needed to come up with the technology to be able to give the visual effects that they were given. That means that this is going to win an Oscar. Okay, so if you didn't like the film, fine, that's okay, that's your right. But no one can really argue with the amazing visual effects of Avatar: The Way of Water. All Quiet on the Western Front, again, beautiful, but the way in which they had to film some of the things that they filmed and the way in which they did that with like this weird version of like CGI with real actors learning to do all the things that they
stuff,
did.
yeah.
Oh, just insane. So I definitely think Avatar is going to take it home. And I think you agree.
Absolutely. So moving on here, we've got best sound. This one is a tricky one. I was already sweating bullets thinking about a couple of these, and this is one, Michaela. So we've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. Let's talk about Elvis here for a second. So Elvis is this giant soundscape. Obviously, it's the life and times and career of Elvis. So we're getting all the Elvis stuff. We're getting other music design. It's very fast. It's this Baz Luhrmann, spectacle of storytelling. So it's all that. It's almost like sound. You think of like sound design a lot of times, but the sound editing on Elvis is just absolutely insane. But what do you think? Anything stick out to you here, or anything you want to hit on before we make our picks?
I think some of the sound editing for All Quiet on the Western Front was really spectacular. I mean, it's a war film, so there's a lot of sounds of war that we think about, but there are a couple of really quiet scenes too that were just really beautifully done, where you can hear the crunch on the ground, and the running and the heart pounding almost, and I thought that was really special. Again, I don't remember anything sound wise from the Batman. I just don't. I remember smoky eye. I remember a lot of makeup, but that's about all I remember for the Batman. And I'm sorry, so not sorry. So this is a hard one because Avatar: Way of Water, there were a lot of really cool effects, but I don't remember thinking that the sound editing was, or best sound in general.
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same argument for Avatar: Way of Water that you get a lot of times. You'll see, especially like Pixar films, come up in this category, do particularly well in this category. I think Soul won it a couple of years back, if I'm not mistaken, or was at least nominated for it. But in something like Avatar, like the entire soundscape has to be, completely designed and built from the ground up. You can't really rely on, the way a boot stepping in mud sounds and All Quiet on the Western Front. And, while that is brilliant and gorgeous, it's just a different way to look at it. So like I said, this one is really tricky. I mean, you have the soundscape and Top Gun Maverick of those fighter jets going across your IMAX screen, stuff. I don't know. This one's tough, Michaela. So that's why you're going first. Best sound. What's your pick?
Okay. I'm probably going to go with Avatar: The Way of Water. Just because, like you said, I don't remember the sound being super different and strange, but I remember that it made a very compelling story. And again, he had to create that from scratch. That had to be created, and they built technology around being able to do that in an effective way. So that's going to be my pick. It's probably the safe pick.
That is a fair pick. I am going to go with All Quiet on the Western Front, which is as visceral a movie as you can get, and the sound is a very important part of the way that makes you feel. So All Quiet on the Western Front for me, Avatar for you. What do we got next, Michaela?
All right, we got Best Short Film Live Action. So if you've not seen these, you're missing out because some of them are actually good this year. I don't mind saying the nominees are An Irish Goodbye, Evalu, Les Pupilles, The Red Suitcase, and Night Ride.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got 5 here. All pretty good. All very sad, as these live action short films tend to be. Now, going into this, I'd watched 4 of these, and The Red Suitcase was kind of my favorite. Going through, it's following this immigrant girl as she's landing and moving through an airport to start kind of the next phase of her life, how that's going to work. But then I saw them, and An Irish Goodbye kind of came in and blew me away. It was a little bit longer, so it felt like a more fully narrative of a film. So maybe that's why I connected with that one a little bit more. But there's some really good ones. I really enjoyed Night Ride. I really enjoyed Ivalu. Le Pupille, which you can find on Disney Plus. Wasn't my favorite the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, I really kind of connected with it a lot more. It really
Yeah.
kind of made sense and felt a little bit more, fleshed out, so to speak. So I don't know. This is a tricky one, Michaela. What are you thinking?
So I totally agree with you. I think if you're looking for a film that's like a film that happens to be short, An Irish Goodbye is definitely the way to go. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, it's got an end. You kind of really get to know some of the characters. There's a lot of quirkiness to it. They because it is a little bit longer, they have time to make some very detailed decisions to build certain things out and create
Mhm.
layered characters and a layered kind of facade of what's happening in a family. I thought Evalu is so beautifully shot. It is stunning. And the landscape, because it's done in Greenland, it's just amazing.
Mhm.
From a The story is a little tough, and that had help because it was based on a graphic novel, and so that had a little bit of backstory. So it made me want to go find it and learn it and read about it and things.
Mhm.
The Red Suitcase, oh my gosh, love the Red Suitcase so much. That is the scariest film I think I have seen. It's so tense, and it's only like 14 minutes long or something. It's super short, and the whole time you're just on the edge of your seat, really trying to root for this girl getting to where she needs to be with her little red suitcase. This is really this is a tough category because I care about all of these. I think I'm going to have to pick from a short film in general, though. I think I'm going to have to say The Irish Goodbye. An Irish Goodbye
Yeah.
is
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
one I would watch again and again. I would definitely watch that over and over again.
That is a fair pick. Yeah, that one. Really, it pulls at the heartstrings. It tells this really great kind of family story and things like that. I'm going to stick with my guns and go with the Red Suitcase because we can't pick all of these the same, Michaela. Where is the fun in that? And I thought it was excellent. These are all, as a lot of times these short films, short documentaries, short animated shorts tend to be pretty important just to, as pieces of art. So I think that they're worth kind of seeking out and watching. So Red Suitcase for me, Irish Goodbye for you. What about best short film animated style now, Michaela? We've had a chance to see all of these. Got some good ones again this year. We've got The Boy, The Mole, The Fox, and the Horse, The Flying Sailor, Ice Merchants, My Year of Dicks, and An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I Think I Believe It. Good on you, Ostrich, for breaking open that world Matrix style for us. But what do you think, Michaela? Animated shorts. So sometimes these are real bananas, and sometimes they're beautiful. I have to say, by and large, this year, pretty beautiful. I really enjoyed all of the shorts this year.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think my standout until I watched the last one was Ice Merchants. I thought that was a really beautiful story. There's no dialogue in it. You're just watching the animation and it's telling the story through the animation itself. So I thought that was really special. It's a really just beautifully done, and the music behind it is also amazing. I love the quirkiness of An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake and I Believe It, or I Think I Believe It. Sorry, it's very long title. I love the way that it was made. I thought it was really neat, and a neat idea. It's very Matrix style in claymation, which is really cool. But I loved all of these. I think my least favorite was probably The Flying Sailor because I just didn't quite understand some of the aspects of it. I mean, I know what happened, but I don't know. I just don't think I developed an appreciation for what I was seeing the way that I probably should have. And that could be
Mhm.
a me problem, but
Yeah.
my favorite, oh my gosh, my favorite is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And that's really probably no one's surprise if you know anything about me as a person and you've seen the film. It's based on a book. The book is also amazing. The animation in the animation is amazing, and the book itself is really beautifully written and beautifully illustrated. And it tells a full story. It's only 35 minutes long. I think it's really amazing, and so that is going to be my pick for better or worse.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse is going to be my pick as well. It's animated beautifully. It has a really stellar voice cast, and it just kind of was transcendental. I will say, My Year of Dicks, title aside, which is kind of the the butt of jokes ever since Riz Ahmed had to say it at the nomination announcement. I think it's interesting and it's good to have stories like that. Similar to Turning Red, we don't get a lot of coming of age stories told in the perspective of young women. So I think that it's kind of important from that stance. And I liked kind of the serial like vibe and structure of it. I thought was pretty great. But yeah, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse is going to be my pick for best short film in the animated category.
Absolutely. Well, moving on to best production design. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, it means how well did the movie look from a setting perspective, because all of that is designed, whether on a studio or even if it's a place where you have to travel to, right? There had to be decisions that were made about the cars that were there, or the trees that were in the setting and all of that. Okay. So nominations are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans.
That's right. Yeah. Best production design. This is a tricky one. Kind of all of these technical ones. Last year, you just looked and you said, well, whichever one Dune is nominated for, it's going to win. But this year,
Right.
all of these movies are crazy. The production design on, we've talked about, All Quiet on the Western Front, just insane. The level of realism that they brought to this thing. But then you have stuff like Babylon, which you and I watched together, and you have just, the production level of like the first half hour of this is it's, going through this just giant crazy party, and just the millions of moving pieces that had to come together to get something like that done. And same level there on Elvis, similar kind of vibe. There's something like The Fabelmans that's this big visual landscape of time in the 1950s. It's just absolutely crazy. This one is a tricky one. Michaela, what are your kind of thoughts on these five here?
So I thought that All Quiet on the Western Front was really special. I mean, it's just an amazing film. It's really hard too, though, because it covers a subject matter that we have seen a lot of before. So there's a lot of trench warfare shots and building out the trenches, and then the quiet areas in the churches that they go through, and all of these kind of withered away buildings and things. That was really special. It's hard for me with Avatar: The Way of Water, because I don't know where to draw the line between production design and best visual effects. So that's hard for me, because I want to give it to someone else. Because I feel like most of the stuff that I saw was a basis of the visual effects versus the production design. And so that's one of the reasons why Elvis actually I thought was super impressive that way, because the production design that you do see, they had to go from, a completely different breadth, right? So from these very humble beginnings to these big mansions to, skyscrapers in Vegas, and all of that had to be done in such a way to make you really believe that this was happening. This is a tough one. This one is really hard for me.
This one is this is really tough. All Quiet on the Western Front, I think, is as great of production design as you can possibly have. But I think, coming, just a few years after something like 1917, I think maybe that works against it here in this case. I say Babylon and Elvis are very similar in kind of their frenetic pace and, kind of the way that they're shot and look. But I think Elvis is ultimately a better movie, and it's moving through more time periods and more locations. So I am picking Elvis as best production design.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you there. Because I have a lot of torn feelings about Elvis in some of these categories, not because it's not worthy, but just because I don't know exactly where to give it its best accolades. I really loved the production design of Elvis. I think that's something, when I think about the film in the past, and I know we've done a deep dive on it, that's one of the pieces that I really remember, is just that look and feel of the film. And there's a lot of makeup and a lot of costuming, but I think that's really where it draws the line. And I think you're right. I think All Quiet on the Western Front is a safer choice, because it is really beautiful, but I'm going to go with Elvis with you. So we'll see if we're both wrong. in about a
That,
week.
that's right. Yeah, we are putting our eggs into one basket there. So, what do we got? Best music, original song. We've got Applause from Tell It Like a Woman by music and lyrics by Diane Warren. Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick by Lady Gaga and Blood Pop. Lift Me Up from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Rihanna, Ryan Coogler, Ludwig Göransson. Not To from RRR, music by M.M. Kiravani and lyrics by Chandra Bose. And This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once by Ryan Lotz, David Byrne, and Mitski. Michaela, you're just looking at these. Normally there's some kind of standouts, but a couple of these are kind of interchangeable in a way to me because they were all kind of, credits start and these songs come in. They didn't really play a role in the movie so much to me, which is fine. Like I don't object to that, but I really like for my best, original song to really play some sort of, vital, kind of storytelling role, right, within the
Right.
film. Not just like kind of like an emotional recap on what you just saw, something to play into it. Even, something like Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, that theme, played throughout that whole film before, you finally got her version of her singing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it was an integral part of the way that movie felt. And to that end, you look at all these, Lady Gaga, Hold My Hand, that's probably my favorite of these songs. But what part of the movie does that play to me? And I don't know. And I'm gonna let you talk, but I'm gonna go ahead and make my pick. I am going with Golden Globe winner, Not To from
Yeah.
RRR.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, here's the deal with these. I think you and I are very aligned, so I'm not going to re-say everything you just said. I love Diane Warren. I think she's done a lot of great things. Hold My Hand's probably my favorite of the songs if I just listen to them. But Not To, there's something about, I don't know, half of the world listening to a song and identifying with it somehow. And that song has taken the entire world by storm. Definitely all of Asia knows that song now. And I think because of also the idea of and now RRR, not a Bollywood film, okay, but because their music, the music in does seem to play an integral part in the story to an extent. I think that I'm going to go with that as well. I'm not a musician, so I don't know what it took to make it, but yeah, I feel good about that choice. Although I'm sorry, Lady Gaga, I did really love Hold My Hand. I just would have liked it if it was maybe a little bit in the film somewhere.
All they needed to do was have it play on the jukebox at the bar. Done. Boom.
Boom.
Sorted. So that is our best original song. Michaela, what do we got next?
Best original song. Okay, we got best music original score, which is the stuff that doesn't have lyrics. For anybody like me who's like a music novice, we have All Quiet on the Western Front where the music was by Volkner Bertelmann. We have Babylon by Justin Hurwitz. The Banshees of Inisherin by Carter Burwell. Everything Everywhere All at Once, music by Son Lux. And The Fablemans by John Williams. Oh, now this is really hard because everything John Williams does, I'm like, just give him an Oscar and let him go home. Just give him an Oscar. But
that's right.
It's really hard because this one's hard. You go first.
That was kind of the assumption when we saw Steven Spielberg was doing this semi-biographical telling of his story and that John Williams was going to be doing the music for it and potentially one of his last film scores. You're like, well, yeah, give that man the Oscar right there. And I think there's some things to be said for them just saying, yeah, this could be it for Johnny Williams. So maybe just go ahead and give it to him. And whether that's just within the realms of these five, I mean, it has to be just in the sense of all-time greatness. I will say I didn't think that the musical scores, soundscapes of these movies this year were as strong as maybe some movies I've seen in the past. Kind of overall, probably my favorite one, and I only really sort of kind of identified with it the second time that I watched it was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, it didn't stand out to me in particular the first time I watched it. So I don't know if that's just me being more familiar with the film the second time around, or maybe I just overlooked it because there's so much insanity happening on your screen, hot dog fingers and all. So I don't know. And I love the sound design of All Quiet on the Western Front. And certainly there are some beautiful musical motifs in there, but I don't know if it all comes together for me. that well. But then that being said, the Fablemans wasn't my favorite film score either. But my head says that you should go with that one because everyone else is going to look at that list of people and say, "Well, John Williams, this could be his last crack at one of these. We better give it to him." So I don't know, but I'm gonna go with my heart here, Michaela. I'm gonna say Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it's important to the story, whether you can pick it out initially or not. I think it's it's just laying this foundation for everything that you're
Mhm.
seeing on there. So some
Yeah.
looks. I'm going that way. What about you? What do you think about these?
So I have been newly kind of learning about scores and what that means and what it takes to create a musical score for films and all that stuff. So I will say that I truly love the score for All Quiet on the Western Front. Absolutely thought it was brilliant. There were certain aspects of it. Now it sounds kind of funny because it's all quiet on the Western Front. We're talking about original score, but there were moments where along with the editing, the score behind it was really powerful and palpable. Certainly, the very beginning kind of opening scene was really, really special to me. And a lot of that is based on the way that the score kind of also made you feel and paired with what you were seeing on the screen. So I'm going to go with All Quiet on the Western Front. I could be wrong, but we can't agree on everything. So there we go.
That's right. Okay, All Quiet on the Western Front for Michaela. Everything Everywhere All at Once for me. And next up, we've got Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Again, let's see. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and The Whale. This is tricky. The Whale. You have Brendan Fraser. He it made up to the nines, right? Complete transformation. But you have the Batman. You have Colin Farrell who's playing the Penguin. Also, this completes kind of transformation, which the Academy likes. They really like someone to look completely different when they're talking about best makeup and hairstyling. But that's a lot of dirt and grime. All Quiet on the Western Front. Of course, the hairstyles. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which I think won this. The original Black Panther won makeup and hairstyling, I believe, and then Elvis. You have Elvis looking like Elvis, but I don't know. To me, I think that's more costuming. But you do have Tom Hanks, kind of a body transformation, and that
Yeah.
one too. So really, that's kind of the theme of this year. Michaela, best makeup and hairstyling. What say you?
Oh, this is really hard. I think that I am gonna take a something out of my back pocket. There was a saying where it was, if the movie would the movie exist without the makeup and the hairstyling? And I'm gonna pick The Whale because everyone talked about how amazing the performance of Brendan Fraser was. And he was. But I think the reason why the movie works is because they did such a great job with makeup and hairstyling and making that character look as realistic and as however you feel viscerally when you see that character. That is largely in part of this amazing job that was done with the makeup and hairstyling. So, yeah, I'm going to go with The Whale for that reason. I think that I don't remember much other than Smokey Eye from the Batman, so I'm probably never going to pick the Batman for anything, and I'm sorry. But
A good
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever,
mascara budget was
yeah,
high on the
really good.
Batman.
Lots of charcoal around the eye sockets. Black Panther, I thought, was really special because of the way that they handled kind of some of the underwater stuff, and the way that they had that kind of tribal community look in a certain way. And I thought that was really cool, and something that we had not seen. Yeah, but I'm going to go with The Whale.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with The Whale as well. You brought up the good point that, the film basically is reliant on the fact that they could have Brendan Fraser, look that way in this movie. So I'm going to go with The Whale as well. Although I think All Quiet on the Western Front, probably same as Saving Private Ryan. Should take this one. I don't think it's going to. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, best international feature film. I'm so glad we're able to talk about this. I'm sad that there are only 5 nominated films for this because I think there are probably tons more out there. We've talked a lot about what it takes to get into this short list. I thought almost all of these. Now, we both, I don't think, have seen The Quiet Girl yet, which is one of the nominations. And so that is on our list. We're going to get it watched beforehand. But unfortunately, it's not out anywhere. We can just stream it or buy it. So here are the nominations. We have All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, Close, EO, and The Quiet Girl.
That's right. Yeah. So some really good nominees here this year. Absolutely loved Argentina 1985. I thought it was a very important and timely story. Something that happened in 1985 being as important today in lots of countries around the world as it was back then. A really important story. Close is absolutely just wrenching and beautiful and hard. I'm not even going to ask Michaela about it because we don't have time for her to suffer all of the emotions that she had when we went and saw that one a couple weeks ago. The Quiet Girl, from all accounts, looks absolutely beautiful. I'm very excited to see that. We're hoping to get out to the theater to see that this week before Oscar night. So looking forward to that one. EO is definitely kind of a different take that's going to really kind of play on your psyche and feelings. The clear winner here has to be, with all of its nominations, All Quiet on the Western Front, Michaela. It just kind of, I don't know, it was kind of transcendental in a way that, films just sometimes things are just that way. And that was All Quiet on the Western Front.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm going to be really upset if it doesn't win this, because it deserves, and I think it's special because it's nominated for Best Film as well. But all of these are really great. If you have time, go watch Close. Go watch Argentina 1985. Probably go watch The Quiet Girl. These are all really amazing, and they touch on so different subjects. Really, really special. But All Quiet on the Western Front's definitely my pick.
Okay.
So we are agreeing there.
We are agreeing there. This one I don't know if we'll agree on. That is Best Film Editing. We've got Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. So a lot of these here: Elvis, Everything All at Once, Top Gun Maverick, some pretty fast cuts. Sort of thing. Tar is more of this elongated sort of storytelling, and Banshees of Inisherin, kind of same way. They're basically getting these conversations pieced together. So it really kind of depends on what you like. In your editing style, I guess, here, Michaela. But certainly some good things to be said about all of these. But we've already touched on these films a little bit. What do you think here about Best Film Editing? What are your picks and thoughts?
So my thinking around this is, when you're talking about editing, right? That's the thing that really tells the story. You have a director who's got this idea. You have these storyboards. You have the cinematographer who sets up these beautiful shots, and then you're like, okay, you give it to an editor and say, okay, go tell the story that we want to tell with all of this stuff. So much is made or broken in the editing room, I feel like. And I feel that for a lot of these fast edits, as you were calling them, they really have to work in order to set up a beautiful story. I think Top Gun Maverick does a really great job. I thought Elvis was exceptional in the film editing because you had, all the offsets of like what was happening behind the scenes, what was happening performance wise, how all of that was being kind of orchestrated by this other character, and really showing that in a way. But for me, the story doesn't work if Everything Everywhere All at Once was not edited the way that it was, because you're dealing with lapses in space and time and different individuals and trying to figure out and tell the story and really tell it in 3 different chunks of ways. So for me, I'm going to pick Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that story just doesn't work unless you had the editing that it had. And I'm not saying it was perfect. There were a couple times where I myself got a little confused, but the story itself was really confusing. And all you had to do was sit and wait for the next frame, and it kind of set you straight. So again, I really feel that this year, the kudos goes to Everything Everywhere All at Once. What are your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Everything Everywhere All at Once as well. Normally you think of film editing, and that has a lot to do with kind of how the movie is paced, and then obviously what it kind of looks like. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, the editing really felt like it was an integral part of the story in the way that worked. So I'm going to go with Everything Everywhere All at Once for Best Film Editing. We're back to the shorts, Michaela. What's this next category?
We got Best Documentary Short Films. We got the nominations are The Elephant Whisperers, Hull Out, How Do You Measure a Year, The Martha Mitchell Effect, and Stranger at the Gate.
Okay, yeah, best documentary short films. I am a big fan of documentaries, as I've said several times here. So it's always interesting when the shorts get nominated because then you can kind of search those out. They're a little bit harder to find just on the regular unless you're really going out and looking for them. So I'm always excited to see what these have to do. And a lot of times the short film documentaries they can be real heavy and real sad, or they can be uplifting. Like last year we had the basketball, the Queen of Basketball, I think, or something like that
Yes.
was
Yep.
was kind of this more uplifting one, which is always kind of a breath of fresh air because a lot of these can get pretty down, pretty depressing kind of things. And these ones this year were kind of that way, right? You have stuff that's just beautiful. People really, kind of working preservation, elephant whispers, howl out, stuff like the Martha Mitchell effect, which is coming off the coattails of that show that Julia Roberts was in, really kind of introducing the world to her. Never, was familiar with Martha Mitchell kind of in any way. A little bit more of a straightforward, just documentary kind of interviews and footage and stuff like that. Some personal growth stuff kind of in Stranger at the Gate. But I don't know, Michaela, I think we have kind of different thoughts on this one, but I'm going to go with Howl Out. I think that it was it's staggeringly beautiful, kind of creepy, like it almost feels like a horror film there at times, but I think that it's really important from like a conservation and climate change, and that kind of things. And it's this more like quiet, unspoken documentary. And normally I don't like those. I don't really like documentaries that don't have a lot of narration and voiceover. But here it works because we're, with the scientist who is just observing what is happening and how important it is and how staggering it is, and just how unbelievable that something like this happens and someone is right there in the midst of this, walrus migration. It's insane, and I loved it. And Howl Out is my pick for documentary short. What about you?
Oh, okay. So I agree. I thought Howl Out was a very interesting take because it doesn't have a script. It's not like a normal what we would consider, at least in America, would consider a documentary, right? There's no interviews. They don't set the stage. You just kind of see this thing happen and unfold, and it's different than all of the others, except for How Do You Measure a Year? We've not seen it. Hey. So unfortunately we can't speak to that one, but I mean, I definitely felt like the Martha Mitchell effect and Stranger at the Gate were much more digestible because of the way they were created and made. But I think you're right, from a subject matter perspective, when you are talking about what's the most important film that could have been made in this and on this list, I think you're probably right that Howl Out is the clear kind of takeaway, because it is so staggering as to what's happening. And the great thing about it is that you didn't need a heavy script and a bunch of interviews and a bunch of scientists. You just needed to open your eyes and see what was happening right there. And so I'm going to agree with you. Although I really love the Martha Mitchell effect because of the way that they told that story. And I think that's an important story from an American perspective, but from a world perspective, I think Howl Out definitely kind of takes it.
Okay. All out there for best documentary shorts. What do we got next? We are going from the shorts to the feature length documentary films. Let's see. What do we have here? We have All That Breathes. We have All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Navalny. Michaela, so I don't normally get into snubs, and I'm not going to drag this one through the mud too long. My pick is Goodnight Oppie. Skipping this category. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to make a pick here, but I don't know. I don't like to be too negative. None of these are as good as Goodnight Oppie. I'm going to go with Fire of Love. That was my next favorite one of the documentaries I saw this year. I thought it was kind of this intimate look at this couple, and I don't know. I really like sciencey things, so I was big on that. Kind of this volcanology sort of thing that they're doing, and I don't know. I just thought it was interesting because you get a lot of these documentaries that are covering these big swaths of space within the world, telling these big grand stories and how important it is to, kind of ramifications around the world, and certainly studying our world geologically, studying volcanoes is important for humankind and understanding, the creation of the planet and things like that. But I really loved that it was kind of, pulled in to tell this kind of relationship story, which is, not something you see in these big, giant, Oscar worthy documentary feature films. But what about you? What did you think about this year's documentaries?
So my favorite was also Fire of Love from a story perspective. I loved the way they set it up. Now, if you've not seen that, they had to take old footage and kind of put it together. And I thought the way that they did that to tell a documentary feature was really special. What I also know is that they had to do very much the same thing for Navalny. My second favorite is probably Navalny, just because of kind of the direct political implications that are made, and
certainly timely,
certainly timely, very similar to how I felt about kind of A House Made of Splinters. Both of those deal with Russia and the Ukraine, kind of, and what's happening in the world today. We can't get enough people to look at that and take action, right? We really need to do that. So I'm going to let you pick Fire of Love, even though that's my favorite. I'm going to go with Navalny, just because it's still something that has very real world impacts today. And if you've not seen it, I recommend. And Navalny's still he's still where he is, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's important. So I'm going to pick that one as my pick, but I understand why you picked Fire of Love, because it's so wonderful. It's so good. So then we have Best Directing, which is really exciting. The nominees are Banshees of Inisherin by Martin McDonagh, Everything Everywhere All at Once with Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, The Fabelmans, directed by Steven Spielberg, Tar, directed by Todd Field, and Triangle of Sadness, directed by Ruben Östlund. Good on you, Ruben. This is like his first thing, and he's nominated for a Triangle of Sadness has done so well, given that this is his first big feature film that he's both directed and written. And
that's right. Yeah, he got the Triangle of Awards, right? Writing, directing, and Best Picture. We'll get to here shortly. But yeah, I don't know. We've talked a little bit about kind of all of these films, and kind of the importance of those, and how directing really kind of comes together and puts these in. Really, this one is down to two for me. It's the Banshees of Inisherin and the Fabelmans. But I think that I'm going to go with the Fabelmans. Hollywood really loves films about Hollywood, and I'm going with the Fabelmans, Michaela.
Okay, well, that's fine. We can agree on the Fabelmans again. We gotta quit picking the same stuff.
We do. Yeah.
I feel like this was really hard, because I loved the way Triangle of Sadness was filmed. It wasn't as strong of a visceral reaction to me. The Fabelmans is probably my favorite film of the year, just because of the subject matter. I loved the whole thing. Everything that was in the Fabelmans, I absolutely loved. So I'm going to pick the Fabelmans as well. But it's very hard for me, because Everything Everywhere All at Once, some of those decisions are just brilliant. So this is hard, but Fabelmans for me.
That's a tricky one for sure. So what do we got next here, Michaela? We are rolling right along. We've got Best Costume Design. That is Babylon, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and a new movie to talk about, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, which is quite a lovely little film. And the recreation of these Dior dresses is unbelievable. That's why it got nominated, because they look incredible. They look like they are right off of the showroom floor there from the 50s or whenever that was set. Looking good on you, Paris fashion designers. But I don't know, what do you think about costume design? Anything stand out to you here? Otherwise, we've got a couple things we've talked about a little bit peripherally, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, because not only did it talk about the costumes, and not only did it show the costumes, but how they were made, and all of the pieces that had to be created that were in flux, right? And how that really played a huge part of the story itself. I remember seeing this previewed and thinking that's gonna be up for Best Costume Design, and I'm glad that I wasn't wrong. The only tough kind of call for me is I really love all the costuming and Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is so weird, the different worlds that are created, and the way that they put these amazing clothes on these folks, right? Stephanie Hsu looks amazing in all of these scenes where she's going and kicking butt everywhere. It's crazy. So that's really a hard call for me because I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is probably going to win, but I'm going to say Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Okay, so yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's hard, right? Because you have something like Elvis. By all accounts, the costume design is amazing, but they're recreating all the things that have existed before. Same as Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Those dresses existed, so you're seeing these things, and while there is an insane attention to detail in making them, I don't know. I think Dark Horse, like I didn't even think about this. This wasn't even on my radar, but I think it's going to play similar to Cruella. And Cruella, when that came out, those crazy costume designs, I think that gets the one up here for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Going on a limb, I don't know if that's a smart pick or not, but it is the pick that is in my heart. Everything Bagel Style.
Everything Bagel Style. Love it. So the next category is Best Cinematography. No surprise, we have All Quiet on the Western Front as a nomination, as well as Bardo, False Chronicles, and A Handful of Truths, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So, cinematography. This is a tricky one. Again, all these technical ones have been really hard. It kind of depends on what you want to see. All Quiet on the Western Front was beautiful, and I thought it was beautiful. You know, we watched it on Netflix. That's where most people have taken this in. But then we went to our little movie theater, and they were going to be showing All Quiet on the Western Front on the big screen. So we saw the preview for it before we saw our movie the other day, and I was like, "Holy smokes, that looks good! That looks big and vast." And you know, we were at the independent picture house, so it wasn't even on like a big IMAX screen. Like I couldn't even imagine if that screen would have been 300 feet wide. That would have been insane. Bardo is just a crazy like acid trip. There's so much like crazy stuff going on, especially the first part of that. Very similar to Babylon, when you're just like, this is just insane. What are they even thinking about? Elvis, it's this big opulent production of these Elvis concerts and stuff. That's absolutely great. Empire of Light, which we did an episode on, is beautiful, gorgeous. I don't know what it takes to win cinematography anymore, because you have all these IMAX screens and you just expect everything to be big and blown out and over the top. But is it really more kind of intimate in the way that the cinematography needs to work now? Are we pulling it back from that? I don't know. I'm very confused. I'm going to say All Quiet on the Western Front. It's gorgeous, and it is intimate enough within the confines of those little trenches, and big enough in scope. I think it ticks all the boxes. So I'm going All Quiet on the Western Front, Michaela.
I think my biggest conflict here, I loved Bardo, False Chronicles, and A Handful of Truths, not because I love the story, because I got lost a couple of times, I'm not gonna lie, but it was so visually striking, but again, I kept losing touch with, well, was this a cinematographic choice, or is this based on some sort of special effects, or how that kind of meshes and molds. And over time, I think that's really why this category really always gives me pause, because it's really hard to pick. And I don't know enough about how some of these films were made to maybe kind of draw the line. I thought that All Quiet on the Western Front is probably most deserving, because not only do you have these big sweeping, kind of very grand views, but you also got these very tight close-ups of objects and people, and the way in which that piece works and meshes, rather than just having kind of these much more grand frames is really what makes it work. And I mean, again, it's hard because it's a war film, but you shouldn't need, I think you were the one who told me this, it's all about the shots. If you can tell the story without a script at all and really understand because of the shots that are done, I think that is a really good litmus test. And so I'm going to agree with you. I feel bad that I'm not picking Empire of Light, because I know we both like that film a lot, but that's the choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Decisions have to be made. It's not getting any easier as we go. And we are up on a category which I think we're both going to make the same decision and we're both going to be sad about it. Not sad, but, sad we couldn't pick something else. But that is Best Animated Feature Film. We've got Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Turning Red, The Sea Beast, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which is absolutely fantastic. Go watch Marcel the Shell. I think it's on something now. It's on Showtime or something. I think go watch it. It's incredible, and it's my pick in my heart. I'm not going to pick it here. I'm going to pick Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Now, I think that most of these are pretty warranted. Turning Red, I liked a lot. I think it was an important story. I already brought that up when we were talking about our animated shorts back there. The Sea Beast, I liked a lot. It was a Netflix animated film. I thought it was really good. I thought that it looked great. I thought that it had a good story and a good message. And Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is an excellent film. By all accounts, it looks great. It has a really kind of interesting animation style within the realm of that classic DreamWorks animation style, and it tells a fantastic story. Puss in Boots, in a lot of ways, is like the animated version of Everything Everywhere All at Once, where you're looking at these different sort of timelines that could have happened. It's amazing, and that was kind of a resounding theme this year too. But I don't know. We talked about it on a full length episode, Michaela. But Pinocchio, it does everything. It's real beautiful, and it's the favorite, and I think it's going to win. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. What do you think? Anything else to add there?
No, I'm going to agree with you, and I'm also really sad. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is definitely my favorite, and yeah, I'm sad about it, but I'm picking Pinocchio. But everybody should see that film because it's so good. Marcel the Shell, it's so great.
It's really good, yeah. So, give it a try. But yeah, watch Pinocchio. Go back and listen to that episode. It was one of the best cocktails we ever made, Michaela.
Yeah,
you make some pretty good cocktails, I have to say. So
that's right. We did really well there. So the next is Best Actress in a Supporting Role.
We're into the big ones now.
Yeah,
I mean, not that the other ones weren't big, I guess, but these are the ones that are going to be on all the headlines come Monday morning.
Top four. That's right. So we have Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We have Hong Chau from The Whale. We have Kerry Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
This
one's really hard, man.
This is a tricky one. All of these were excellent. I would really like to see Jamie Lee Curtis get one, just kind of from a career retrospective. I really liked her character in this. I thought she was incredible, and she definitely kind of laid it all out there. And I thought that was great. Stephanie Hsu is amazing in Everything All at Once, Everything Everywhere All at Once. She has all sorts of emotion and all sorts of commanding of scenes. She is just brilliant in there. Angela Bassett is incredible in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever through her part of that film. I think I'm going to go with my head here. I'm doing some thinking right now, and that Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu are going to split votes, and Angela Bassett is going to win Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That is my pick for Best Supporting Actress. Justly warranted. She's great. She's the best part of the film, I think. So.
Hands down, the best part of the film. That's really hard because I want to agree with you. But I'm gonna go with my heart on this. I really want Jamie Lee Curtis to take one home. I love her female supportive energy. And so that's what I'm gonna go for. It's really hard though, because I thought nobody talked enough about Hong Chau's performance in The Whale. It's very subtle. And I think that's harder to do as an actor, being subtly feeling in a film or on stage. I think that is really difficult to do that and do that to where it's you tended to go too much. And so I am so glad that she got the nomination that she did. But I'm going to stick with Jamie Lee Curtis. And so you're probably going to win because Angela Bassett's going to win. But that's what we're gonna go for it.
That's okay. I will take a win if Angela Bassett wins, because she is great for sure. So this is maybe the hardest one that I'm going to have to pick. At least I think, Michaela, Best Actress in a Leading Role. We've got Cate Blanchett from Tar. We've got Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then there's 3 other people that are nominated too. Just kidding. That's Anna de Armas from Blonde, Andrea Riseborough from To Leslie, and Michelle Williams from The Fabelmans. Now, in any other year, Michelle Williams gets a nomination, and you say, well, she's going to win because that's what she does. She gets nominated for Oscars and then she wins Oscars. actors. So does Kate Blanchett. And Michelle Yeoh should probably also get nominated anytime she's ever in anything because she is incredible. You think about it and you think that Michelle Yeoh, she's doing this movie. It's kind of actiony, fast cuts, a little bit action oriented. So maybe that gives her a leg up on Kate Blanchett. But then you're like, well, Tara's kind of this big, she's doing all this composing and stuff, which is also very physical. She's very physical in this role as Lydia Tarr and conducting this orchestra. Michelle Yeoh going back and forth, English, Chinese. You have Kate Blanchett doing the same thing, English and German. She's back and forth all the time. So really, I think as different as those films are, the acting from both of them is very similar. And they're both just absolutely incredible. Can I refrain from picking? Can I just say I'll take like a half a point if either of these win because I don't know. I mentioned it on our Patreon exclusive episode. Kate Blanchett, this might be my favorite thing that I've ever seen her in, and she's only done things that are absolutely incredible. But I'm gonna make it easy on myself, and I'm going to say Michelle Yeoh. I think she wins it because I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once was a film that was worthy of all of these nominations and all of these awards. She's absolutely brilliant in it, and I don't know. The world is a better place having had that movie in it. So Michelle Yeoh is my pick here for actress in a leading role. But what do you think, Michaela? This is a tough one, but do you have anything to add?
No, I think for me, it's Michelle Yeoh's year. Kate Blanchett, she everything she touches, as you said, is cinematic gold. So it wouldn't surprise me if she won, but I'm going to pick Michelle Yeoh because I really want her to win. I want her to get the accolades she deserves. She's done a lot of films that maybe people haven't seen. She's done more than just Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and this. Okay. And she's been amazing in all of them. So I'm excited. I hope that she does take it home. But if Kate Blanchett wins, I won't be mad at it, or Michelle Williams. I think that all of these performances were really special. I think we talked about, we're not a huge fan of Blonde as a movie. But Ana de Armas does a really strong job. So I'm glad that everybody got nominated. But I'm picking Michelle Yeoh. That's what I'm going to say.
There you go.
So the next one is Best Actor in a Supporting Role. We've got Brendan Gleeson from The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry from Causeway, Judd Hirsch from The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan in The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I don't mind telling you that Ke Huy Quan is my top pick. I do want to say that I thought Judge Hirsch is amazing in The Fabelmans, and Brian Tyree Henry, I was just blown away by his performance, and I'm so glad that he got nominated because he makes that film, which is that's tough to say considering his counterpart is Jennifer Lawrence, who's basically won a ton of Oscars and been nominated for a bunch of stuff as well. So, but I think it's Ke Huy Quan's year, and I'm gonna say that's my pick.
That's right. Yeah, we keep picking the same things. Ke Huy Quan is my pick here as well. All these are excellent. Of course, would be surprised to no one if Brendan Gleeson wins this, but I don't know. I think that Waymond really elevates the film, right? It really relies on his kind of frenetic energy running around this thing to really be pulled off. And come on, give the man his Oscar. I want to see him. I want to see him win this so bad. I want to see his speech because it's going to be amazing. Michaela's going to be crying. So I don't know. Make him be tears of joy. Let's do it. Ke Huy Quan, best actor in a supporting role for sure. What do we got? Leading role time, Michaela. This one, another tricky one. I think going into this, everyone kind of had the same opinion on who it was going to be, and then all of a sudden, our first nominee here, Austin Butler for Elvis, starts winning all those awards that we thought that Brendan Fraser from The Whale was going to win. So that's kind of the matchup here. We've also got Colin Farrell from The Banshees of Inisherin, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nighy from Living. But what do you think, Michaela? This one's a little tricky to navigate, as a lot of these categories have been. But what do you think?
So, I really liked Austin Butler's performance as Elvis, and I know Elvis is such a beloved kind of performer and person that a bunch of people really looked up to him growing up, and he's still very much a part of like American pop culture and things, and that's probably helps versus any of these other characters that kind of sit only in these films. I was blown away by Bill Nighy's performance in Living. I thought he did a really great job. Colin Farrell is awesome. But I'm going to stick with my guns here. I'm going to say Brendan Fraser should win for The Whale because, again, he made that film. You can't have it without him. He's just absolutely amazing. And I'm not saying that we could put anybody else in any of these other characters and it would still be amazing. But I just feel like that this is the right choice for a lot of reasons. And so Austin Butler, if you win, I won't be mad at you because, you've been, he's done so well with a lot of all the other awards, but Brendan Fraser for me. I'm going with it.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser is probably my favorite here in this category. In a category that's tough again. Like I said, kind of going into it, we kind of, once we hit like really ramped up into award season, we kind of, we're just like, oh, Brendan Fraser for The Whale is going to win all these things. And then Austin Butler started winning all the things. And sometimes historically, that means that the Oscar goes the complete opposite direction, right? A 180. Sometimes it goes with the flow, so to speak. The Whale is a hard movie to see without Brendan Fraser in it, but Elvis is a hard movie to see without Austin Butler in it, and that means I'm going to go with Austin Butler. We can't have the same picks on all of these, Michaela. We are covering our bases here. Maybe Colin Farrell will win. That wouldn't be a surprise to me either. So I don't know, but Austin Butler for Elvis, who accompanied Elvis as good as someone could. I don't know. But that's my pick, and that leaves us with one, Michaela. One more category to go. It's a big one. We talked about all of these over on our Patreon, patreon.com/drinkthemovies. You can go there, get subscribed. We do bonus content, a bonus episode every month, hangouts, all that sort of stuff. But this, kind of the last 6 weeks or so, we did little mini episodes about all 10 of these films. So go get subscribed. You can listen to those if you want to get a little refresher on any of these. That's certainly a good way to do it, and a really good way to support your favorite podcasters out there and things like that. But take it away, Michaela. We've got one left. Why don't you do the honors of bringing this thing home?
Oh, thank you. So the nominations for Best Picture are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun: Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking.
Okay,
it's really hard to pick a best film.
So it is hard to pick a best film. There are 10 this year. I don't know. This one is a little tricky. We certainly have kind of our favorites, our sentimental favorites. We have kind of the I don't know, the award-winning darling and something like The Banshees of Inisherin. We have something that, kind of everyone assumed had this in the bag in The Fabelmans when it was kind of announced that it was going to come out. You have other stuff that's just absolutely brilliant in terms of filmmaking. You have things that are, transcend box office results and, what could potentially keep movie theaters from dying out completely, and Avatar and Top Gun. But I don't know, a lot of times in going through this list, it's a real fine balancing act of going with your heart and going with your head. But this year, Michaela, I have the confidence in going with my heart and my head because I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win, and I want it to win. And yeah, that's it. So at the center of it all is an everything bagel and Everything Everywhere All at Once for me. But what about you? What do you have to say about these 10 movies? We don't have to go over these too much. We've kind of hit on most of these throughout our recording here. But anything stand out? Anything you want to say about any of these? And then you can pick Everything Everywhere All at Once too.
Yeah. So I thought that this was such a good mix of films that did all of the things that you just said. Right? We have films that did really well in the box office. We have films that are just kind of strange and weird, yet beautifully done. We have these really introspective, very tight kind of relationship studies. There's some nostalgia in there. There's some performance. There's just a lot. And then there's and all of these hit me differently. I mean, I don't think there's any one on here that I say, well, that's not a great film. I don't know why it was nominated. I think this year might be the first year in a long time where we can both say, oh yeah, this was nominated for these reasons, and we can list them out. I am also going to pick Everything Everywhere All at Once. I want it to win. I love The Fabelmans. I really do. But when I look back and rethink about the films, the two films in comparison to themselves, and that's hard to do. I just think Everything Everywhere All at Once hits me differently. And it really has so much in it that it touches on and that it does so beautifully well. I really want to see it take home the Oscar. And so we're going to agree on that one, for better or worse.
For
Ooh.
better or worse, for sure. Yeah, that is the best picture. It's a tricky one. It's going to be hard to say. Definitely some worthy contenders there in it this year. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So those are our picks, our Oscar picks. We have the right. We have a couple films that we need to watch, so we might change those. There are a couple we still need to see. Michaela still needs to see Women Talking. So I don't know if that's going to change her mind on any of these, but we reserve the right to change those. Certainly, we will let everyone know if we make any changes going forward. And make sure you get your own picks in. You can go to the website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. Just go down a little bit there. There is the entry link to go in to the Typeform page, put in your entries, and see if you get the most correct picks. Whoever does is going to win the prize package, and that's pretty fun. We really like doing that and giving that stuff away. It's always a good time, and we like to see how the community does. Because some people are insane like us, Michaela, and watch all these movies. Some people are like, I heard that one's good, or I saw this one, that one's good, I'm going to pick it for everything. If you did that with Dune last year, you probably did pretty good. So I don't know, get in there, make those picks, and see what you think. Go check out our Patreon if you want a little bit of bonus coverage, and probably going to do like a hangout sometime on the day of the Oscars, maybe to mix up a cocktail or two and talk to the patrons over there. That's patreon.com/drinksandmovies. Go get on all that and follow us on social media for more kind of Oscar fun stuff as we get here going this last week and we get our last movies watched. It's at Drink the Movies on all the things, Drink the Movies, or facebook.com/Drink the Movies. But Michaela, every year we do kind of we do one snub, because I don't really like snubs that much, because most of these things, generally speaking, are pretty well warranted. But anything, if you thought that there was a snub, I guess I already said mine. Good night, Avi. Ridiculous. So we'll do one of those, and we'll do a stone cold lock. But the caveat is we can't say Avatar for best visual effects. You have to make a different one.
Oh, okay.
I just put you right on the spot. On the spot.
I think Guillermo del Toro is going to win. His Pinocchio is going to win for best animated film.
Okay.
I think I'm locked in on that one.
Yeah,
is that too easy? That might be too easy too.
that was the other one that was maybe too easy. No, that one is a pretty good pick. I think there is kind of a scenario where maybe something like Puss in Boots wins, takes that out, but I would have a real hard time seeing it not win that category. So that's going to be the lock. Any snubs? Anything you saw this year that you thought maybe was worthy to get nominated? Maybe not even. Let's not even phrase it as a snub, because that means that, something else didn't deserve to be there. And by and large, I think, we kind of make the case that most of these things, maybe not the Batman, should have been nominated for things. But anything else we saw over this last 365 days that you think maybe deserved a nod for something?
So you and I both totally agree that Goodnight Oppie should have been in the list of nominations for Best Documentary. I think Eden Dambreen, I think I say that correctly, he played Leo in Close, and I do not know for the life of me why he wasn't nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor. I don't know if he would have won, but oh my God. I mean, he's like 15. He's a baby, and he was so amazing in that film. So there are also Till was amazing, and that didn't get any accolades, and I thought that was a really important film that also should have gotten some sort of nomination for all of the amazing things that it was. The Woman King, I mean, we talked a lot about Viola Davis not getting nominated. I totally agree with that. I think that's a miss. But again, it's really hard because, right, if you say that someone gets in and you have a certain number, then that means that someone has to get kicked out. And I'm not I want us all to win. I want everyone to win. So
I want
that's
everyone to
hard.
win.
But those films definitely deserved, I think, a little bit more or accolades, or even somewhere on the list. They should have been on there somewhere. So
they should have gotten on there. Yeah, there are a couple for me. I don't know. It would have been hard to have seen this throw something off, but I was really impressed with it about when we saw it, which was back about the same time as the Batman came out. But the Northman, kind of the cinematography for that and the way that looked, I really liked. And then speaking of cinematography, this one might have been a little bit of a snub. Whether you liked the movie or not, we both really liked it and thought pretty highly of it, but the cinematography in Nope was just kind of absurd on that level. So that one I think was I don't know if it was snub necessarily, but had that been in the 5, that would have been absolutely warranted, I think. So I don't know. Let us know at home if you have any snubs or any stone cold deadlocked predictions. We want to know all that stuff. And like I said, make sure you get entered into the contest because it is a ton of fun and Oscars are coming up on us fast. And then tell us your favorite decompression movie, because we're going to need that after we get through the Oscars for sure.
Right.
So yeah, let us know all that stuff on social media and all that stuff, and make sure you're following along. Get subscribed to the podcast, leave us some reviews. That would help get Drink the Movies out there, get more people entered into the contest so we can all have a little bit more fun. Michaela, where can people do that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere where Anchor podcasts are distributed. If you're liking what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. It helps us spread the news, spread the love of both cocktails and cinema together. It's an amazing thing. We can't do it without you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck to you out there, keeping your sanity as we make our way into Oscar time if you're trying to get these watched. And good luck. And hopefully you have fun on Sunday. Stay safe out there and make sure, watch the awards. Let us know what you think and all that good stuff. And we'll be back. We'll probably try to release early, maybe Monday or Tuesday next week after we get the recap recorded. So yeah, I don't know, Michaela. Let's go grab a drink. We'll do the coffee and Baileys we talked about in the lobby bar this week because we still have a bunch of hours of film to get through here before Sunday night.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, we will see everyone next time on Drink
the Movies. You beat me last year, but I think I've got your number this year.
I think you do too. But I'm following my heart. That's what it's all about.
Following your heart.